It's good to see you guys. Like, we haven't been together since Bucharest, Romania, and I would consider this like part of the fighting the Matrix team. I didn't expect to ever have you guys, the three guys in the same room, but can you maybe speak? I don't want to interrupt the conversation. Like, what were you talking about essentially?
Well, we're just talking about the whole idea of when you're in elementary school or high school, this whole idea of problem solving is all assigned at most 90% of the time at an individual level. Everything is solve shit by yourself. It's never unite with other people and put brains together in a room that you can actually create intelligent and high quality products and high quality experiences and solve these existential problems that the world has, because the system teaches you to do shit by yourself. And if you do shit by yourself, you're going up against, I mean, you witnessed it firsthand. People that have a lot more money, influence, connections, resources than you do. And if you want to play the game of life, it's a lot easier to play with other people and to build alliances. So something I've been thinking about all day is the importance of building your alliances and the people that are willing to go to war for you. And I say it often, it's, people talk about this idea of networking, and people are like, oh, it's not about what you know, but who you know. And as I develop that train of thought, to me, it goes deeper. It's not about what you know, who you know, or even who knows you, but who fucks with you and who's willing to go to war for you. It's completely different, because how many people, like you said, can we pick up and be like, yo, wire me $100,000? No paperwork, no nothing. How many people are like that are in your network? And this
I can do that.
I mean, 100%, bro. I would trust you with 100x. No issues whatsoever.
I've done it.
Yeah. And but how many people like listening to this have those people, right? Do you have that network in your life? And I think that that's something that I've been noticing, especially in the communities. People are extremely isolated and alone and weak. And I think that a lot of it comes from their inability to understand that there's powers in numbers. And I think that they keep you distracted by keeping you divided, and divided on menial, petty shit.
Does everything that we just talked about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's in essence kind of like what the combo was prior to the stream.
Guys get isolated, and that's when they're at their weakest point.
What are the ways you're talking about how they isolate people? When you say that, I think about stuff like racism, like when people are yelling about Black Lives Matter or trans. There's just a lot of issues that I've been.
I think it goes even at a more simple level. So like they've been doing a lot of studies of the brain waves when you start utilizing your phone. When you start utilizing your phone, you literally go into autopilot mode. Like you stop existing in the real world. Like you're in that little matrix of your phone. That alone isolates you. Like you think social media connects you to people, like sort of connects you, like we can interact, but our connections are in real life. Like I feel connected with you guys when we hang out in real life, when we talk, when we vibe, when we get to feel each other's energy, not through social media. And I think that people have like fake unity. There's no real relationships because everything is superficial. And I think things are superficial because people are afraid to speak. And I think people are afraid to speak because if you speak, you end up in jail.
Yeah.
Some jail, whatever jail that looks like, whether it's physical, spiritual, mental, social. And that's something that is extremely difficult for a lot of people to forfeit. And in my pursuit of truth that I started 3 years ago, I told God in my first conversation with him regarding my journey of truth, that is a lifetime journey, is that I was willing to surrender anything in the pursuit of truth. And that means anything, right? Like your money, your resources, your connections, anything in the pursuit of truth. And that's kind of like the endeavor that I'm on. So, yeah.
Love that.
Yeah, brother.
How God-fearing are you, Justin? I saw a Toyota shooter just recently converted to Islam. You were talking earlier about a story about how with the Miss Louisiana that you were like, oh, that's what a God-fearing man should do.
Right.
What does your faith look like now?
You know, it's something I think about a lot. It's hard to believe there's not something there. There's got to be something to explain why we're flying through space on a fucking rock. In regards to Christianity and how it was presented to me as a young man, I think there's a high likelihood that it's not so much that there's a God in heaven looking to send me to hell, but more of a collective consciousness that makes the world a better place. I am not what you would call a traditional Christian, or I'm not a very religious person, But I do think there's something there when it comes to collective consciousness and how we kind of align in our goals and values and what's made the world work. Without Christianity, I don't think there's society. Certainly not to the level that America has obtained in other countries that
I can agree
Christianity has popped up in. I think that because of Christianity, men have been able to work together, chose to work together and get up and go to work and do the right things that has given us the world today. But I do think we're very much at a crossroads of that. And it's a very interesting time to see which direction it's going to go, because church is dying.
Yeah.
Just like in a lot of ways, I believe that marriage is kind of going out. I think, to me, I don't think it's a matter of what's right or what's wrong.
Well, the question is, what is church? So do you mean the building?
Right.
Do you mean the singing, or do you mean the unity of the people?
How are you going to define it? But there's a big difference between fire and brimstone.
So how would you define
it? I would define it as collective consciousness.
Because like this idea of church, I agree with you, right? Like if you read the Bible and it talks about church, it doesn't talk about the building, it talks about the unity of the people. Right. And I think a lot of people, especially in the Western culture, to validate what you're saying, they've replaced this idea of sitting together and communing with others for singing hymns and sitting in a padded pew with air conditioning and believing that you're more pious than other people. So they've lost the entire message of what it's all about. And I think, in my opinion, I don't know if you've been exposed to like Orthodox Christianity in like Eastern Europe, because I know you spent a ton of time there and stuff like that. But I kind of find Western Christianity a little bit fucked up.
Well, I think it's big business in the West.
Yeah.
It's nothing to have these huge churches like fucking Six Flags Over Jesus. There's a whole band and a light show and they got a damn DJ, and the pastor comes out wearing chucks, and it's basically a comedy show around scripture. And then you find out a few months later he's been fucking the secretary. That literally happened in my hometown.
Wow.
Yeah, the guy had to come out and like tell the truth, and like he was like one of these big super churches.
Wow.
And so I have felt in my life.
How did you feel at that point? Like, what was your train of thought?
Well,
was that your pastor?
It wasn't my pastor. This church was so famous in town that everybody knew. And it's been my experience that most of the Christians that I've interacted with, let's say 95 out of 100, are more likely to use scripture as a weapon than as a tool to love.
Medicine.
Right? Exactly. Right? I often say, if God can't see my heart, I don't want to go to his heaven. And so I have a lot of love in my heart. I have very, very, very few things a small amount of hate in me. Is that God? I don't know. It would be nice to think that's God, but in my personal development, I don't think I have that question all the way answered. And I think that's completely okay.
And I think it's okay. And that's, I think that's what makes it all worth it. It's the journey.
Because I can't rightfully like get on my knees and feel like I'm having a conversation with someone at this point in my life. Because I grew up in a place where it was filled with hypocrisy. My mother cheated on my father with two men from church.
Wow.
And he married twice.
Wow.
I don't have hate in my heart for my mother. I'm just looking at church in the thing that I just told you, and people that I've known in my life in the South that were church people, and I watch the things that they do, not the things that they say. And that's not to put the religion in a bad place, because those were just individuals that were hurting, right? It's just been my experience so far that most of the love, if God is love, mostly the love that I've experienced in my life was not coming from the condemnation of religion, but from the goodness in people's hearts.
And it's interesting that you use the word condemnation.
Yeah.
Because the Bible says there is now no condemnation for those that are in Christ. Right. So it's this idea that if you have a relationship with God, you can't be condemned. So this idea of condemning people through that message is an antithesis, it's like you said, hypocritical. Yeah. It's like the Pharisees.
Right.
It's like the Pharisees. Right. And what I think, what you said, which I think is extremely important, is this idea of like love and understanding that, like, I see a lot, I've seen it a lot in your stream, SNEAKO, because you have a lot of like religious people come on stream and from different backgrounds, different religions, different kind of worldviews, and converting people is challenging if you do it from a place of judgment. It's like, bro, people are already broken and hurting and angry and distraught and depressed. Like, love them, you know, like bring life into their bones.
What do you think about Ghost? Ghost says, W. Luke Belmar just recently started watching some of your stuff. L trying to make us wait. That's crazy. He's mad that you wanted to make him wait.
Wait for what?
Because when you were saying that, just make him wait. GMC Hammer, thanks for the 20. Luke, I was serious about wanting to join Capital Club. The next time you guys do a summit, I'm coming out there and not forgetting the cigar cutter or torch this time, like on the yacht. Okay.
That was one of the guys that went to
the Fresh and Fit party. Oh yeah, you guys were. Yeah, I forgot we both were all there too. Scoop says, there you go, Orthodox all the way, baby. And Ace Rumble says, SNEAKO, ask Luke, why does he always wear a hat? Is his hairline worse than KSI's? He has a good hairline. I don't know why he always, but you really made him pull off the hat like that. But I want to go back to this. Scoop says, there you go, Orthodox all the way, baby. Luke, I've been seeing you critical of Catholicism on Twitter and saying, and even when we last spoke at Panorama Tower, you were talking about how God isn't specific to one religion or one book. God is somebody that you speak to and that watches over all of us, but we shouldn't, that it's not specific to one religion. And that's it. Do you think that that's another way that we have stayed divided with these different monotheistic religions that overall have similar ideas?
Interesting question. It's a thought that I've had recently, in fact. So when you look at the Bible is written in 3 languages. It wasn't written in English. It was written in what? Aramaic. It was written in Greek. Okay. And I forget the third one. Is it Latin? No, it's not Latin. Latin's later on. Aramaic, Greek, and
Arabic?
No, it's not Arabic. I forget. Do you know? Hebrew. I apologize. I thought it was are you sure? No. I gotta look it up. Hang on. I'm gonna give you guys some context. But per the conversation, it's something that I've been researching, so it's very fresh in my mind.
And Doug, thank you for the 20. He says, I'm from the UK and I'm a Christian. And I think it's because things are being accepted, such as LGBTQ and SNEAKO. I'm gonna use your line. This is why you need the Taliban. Waliban in the chat. Waliban is necessary. They've allowed way too much in the Christian church. You're seeing gay pride flags. You're seeing trans pastors. Stuff like this would never fly in Islam.
Allahu Akbar!
Ever.
Okay, yeah. So you are totally right. Anyways, so back to your point. So you talk about like this idea of like a monotheistic kind of worldview and how a lot of people are kind of fighting within this monotheistic kind of worldview because they perceive God to be a different entity, or the worldview differs. When you look at how the Bible was written, which was written in 3 languages, it was written in Hebrew, it was written in Aramaic, and it was written in Greek. When you look at the word God in Aramaic, right? It translates to Ilah, right? This was long before the Quran came out, right? So Jesus, right, when he's talking in Aramaic and he's talking about God, he's talking about Ilah, right? What does that sound like?
Allah.
Very interesting, right? Because what does Ilah mean? It's, right, like you just have to break down the word. It's basically saying this is God. And the fundamental difference between Christianity and Islam, for example, is that Islam doesn't believe Jesus to be God. Christianity believes Jesus to be God. And by that premise alone, you do worship a different God, because one God for Christians is Jesus, and for Muslims, Jesus is just a prophet, right? For Christians, Jesus died and rose again from the dead. For Muslims, Jesus just died, right? So there is a lot of back and forth with what is true, what is not true. But what I've come to realize, and which goes back to your initial point, is that if your relationship and your experience with God is limited to the book alone, then you haven't really experienced God. You read all these stories in the Bible of how God interacts with humanity and God interacts with people, and you ask yourself, like, why hasn't God done that with me? Right? It's maybe because you haven't pursued it. Like, why can't God speak to you the same way that he spoke to, I don't know, Moses?
Well, then, Justin, why do you have trouble like getting
Like, I think you can.
And praying and speaking to God? What is the struggle? I've been praying a lot more recently. I have no problem at all doing that.
For me, there was probably a lot of times in my childhood where I was praying for things to change, and maybe they didn't.
But doesn't prayer does it have to be about asking God for things, or shouldn't you show gratitude when you pray?
Yeah, I think you can do all of those things. It's just not something that I need in my life. And at this point, like I was saying earlier, I could not be happier. I don't feel empty. I don't feel like there's a void that I need to fill, or that I need this other being to fill for me. Am I saying that it's going to be that way forever? No. But right now, I genuinely look to myself for my own guidance. That's just where I'm at this point. Could it change? Yes. I noticed that a lot of people flip to religion in bad times. Obviously, I don't think that's the case for you too. But for me, right now in my life, I'm the North Star. And that's how I like it. That's where I have my most trust. That's who I have a relationship with. And being that I don't feel that way, I don't pursue anything that I don't feel is of a void for me. So it's not this disdain for religion. It's just something that I'm not reaching for personally, so.
SNEAKO, Justin and Luke, today was my first day in the gym. Gonna go hard again tomorrow. Appreciate y'all for the game. Luke, I saw you tweet today saying that you're gonna live until you're 120, and you're in the gym how many days a week, Justin?
6
days a week.
Yeah.
How important do you think fitness is? I've been taking it extremely seriously this year.
There's nothing more important. Nothing more important.
Billionaires biohack. They take peptides.
Yeah.
What's biohack? I see you always talk about that.
Hacking biology is figuring out how your body works and reverse engineering it to optimize it to whatever outcome you want. So for example, let's say the body is very moldable to whatever you want, right? So let's say you want to run a marathon, you can mold your body to run a marathon, but you could also mold your body to deep dive and be under massive levels of pressure, right? And I think that that's part of the beauty of the human experience is you can create the temple into whatever you want it to be. And like he said, it's the most important because it's the tectonic plate on which everything lies on. If you do not have health, nothing else in your life will fall into place. Like it doesn't matter if you have a beautiful wife or if you have a beautiful relationship or if you have a ton of money or you have a great company. If you don't have health, you can't enjoy any of these things. So the big paradox of life is that people spend their money or you exasperate their health, right, in order to make money, and then spend that money in order to get back their health. It's like kind of dumb.
Do you think raw eggs are healthy?
I don't know much about the raw diet. I just know
just
that
raw eggs.
I don't know much about that.
I'm on the J wall. I'm drinking 4 raw eggs every single day.
Is that what you do?
Sterling.
Sterling told me that you did that right before he came out. It's like Waller just chugged 4 eggs.
I did. I chugged 4 eggs, but it was for other reasons.
Oh, okay. I understand.
Yeah.
It actually does work.
Yeah.
I'm surprised about that. So that's biohacking in a sense. Instead of taking some Pfizer product, you drink 4 raw eggs. Dougie Free, thanks for the 15. But Luke, satanic people only have one God. That's Potbelly, Lucy, and Muslims and Christians should unite. And if Jesus is the word of God, then Allah must be something. What the fuck is this question?
I'm not sure.
You just said a bunch of words in one donut. I'm confused with what you're asking.
Yeah, but they want to argue about the stuff, or they want to say if you're not Christian, you're taking an L. If you're not Muslim, you're taking an L. It's like, what's the result of having that relationship with God, whoever he may be? It's being at peace, right? So if you're at peace, then I think that's probably the thing you need to look at the most. And for me, I am at peace. So for me to give you some answer that I feel like would make
what would you define as peace, though?
Bro, being good with yourself, like all the way. You know what I'm
being
saying?
Like being in a state of tranquility.
Yeah, like I'm like being good with you completely. I don't think you can be closer to God, wherever God is coming. Because if you could ask 100 guys, like we talked about 2 religions. There's Muslims, there's Scientologists, there's Pentecostals, there's Methodists. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And they're gonna sit and they'll fight wars over the shit.
They have.
So they use religion to create violence. And on a macro, that's the same thing as taking a Bible verse and using it against somebody. But what about being at peace and just loving people, regardless of what frame they're in? So to me, man, I don't get lost in religion as much as I put wanting to love myself and other people at the top of my priority list. And if I can do that, I feel like I'm in a peaceful place.
DJC says, you ain't got the answer, SNEAKO.
Halfway.
Okay, man, I'm trying to find him. HK says, thanks for the 10. God is not talking to us like people before us because it's a different era. We have Google. We have all methods to search and study easily. They didn't have that.
And?
Yeah, I'm not really sure what your point is here.
I just know, bro, I've had some crazy interactions with God over the last couple of years, and it's all come from literally not listening to anything that anybody's told me about who God is and the construct and box in which they put him in. If God was easy to understand, he wouldn't be worth worshiping. It's like this man says, like, bro, if you can understand the essence of who God is, then like there's no purpose to God. God has to transcend who you are.
God's that little voice in your ear where everything around you is quiet enough where you can actually hear it.
And it's getting to that quiet place that's extremely important.
That's where God is. Now you have to make the decision of whether that's coming from an outside source or that's your own soul speaking to you. It's your decision. But either way, I would hope that you would end it in peace. You know.
And I talk about I agree with you. People have a lot of internal noise, a lot of static.
They can't even hear themselves.
Yeah, dude, facts. There's a study that came out. I think it's about 30 or 40% of people don't have self-conversations. They don't have internal voices.
Dude,
Internal monologue,
I
right?
live talking to myself.
That blew my mind.
I was literally today, I was just like literally talking out loud and like somebody looked at me like I was a weird. I'm like, oh, and I'm just talking to myself.
I struggle with even believing that because of how much I have dialogue, you know?
Yeah.
But dude,
is that really true, Chad? Is that 50%?
it has to be.
Don't have internal monologue.
Even if it's 25%, regardless of what the number is, bro, you have to understand it's a huge piece of the population. That's billions of people, dude.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's a fuck ton of people that don't sit down and think. That's dangerous.
And they end up finding astrology.
I spend a huge part of my time every day driving and just being in nothing but my own thoughts.
Do you drive with music or not?
No.
Same.
Just silence.
Same.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fuck driving with music. All this radio shit.
Yeah,
no,
I don't
no
meditate
chance.
or anything, but one of the first things I do is
But that is a state of meditation.
It is. It's like a walking form. I drive and I'm just in my own thoughts. And after about an hour, I just start calling people. Because all you're doing is playing mental chess and thinking, okay, if I do this, if I do that, what about this. Some of the most successful people in the world schedule time with just themselves.
Yeah.
Especially if you trust yourself.
Yeah.
Especially if you like really, really lean on yourself as a guiding, force and direction of where you're going to go. I do it every day, like literally every day.
Because unless you spend time with yourself, you can't trust yourself.
No.
Because you don't know who you are.
Right. And you can't have that back and forth, and you can't have that dialogue, internally to know what you actually want to do, not what other people want you to do or not what the world says you can do. But once you can get to the place where you can start to think for yourself, that's when you start.
How do you get to that point in your opinion? Because there's a lot of people that fucking don't think for themselves. Dude. Even you said it on, I think you did a stream or you made a video or caption said, I'm so impressionable or something. You said something like that. It's easy to be like, where do you get to that point where it's like the information that you're relying on is you versus?
Well, I think you have to go through enough things to know that you're competent enough to take charge of your own life, number one. I think that you have to be at a place where you want, like I say this, I want the ball in game 7 of my life. Like if somebody's got to shoot the last shot for my life,
For sure, dude.
I want the fucking ball. And for any young man that doesn't want the ball, there's an easy solution. You go get in the mirror and you ask yourself, what am I scared of? What do I feel incompetent?
What am I lacking in?
Yeah.
Where the imposter syndrome is kicking in?
Where is it that I think that I would like somebody else to take the shot for me? And then you go get that competency, and then you have that much more trust in your life, and you'll continue to do that over and over again. But I think really, really importantly, you have to take time to have internal dialogue with yourself and really find out what you want, or you will find yourself.
That's probably what your prayer is.
It probably is.
Yeah.
And like I would never go so far as to say that I was my own God. I feel like that's disrespectful and also not how I feel. But getting to a place where I always say that if you want to meet God, he's up at 4 a.m. And what I actually mean by that is it's quiet at 4 a.m. You can hear yourself think. And so as those thoughts come to you, some people will identify that as God. And that's okay with me. I just personally identify it with me having a dialogue with myself.
Thanks for the 10 fripples. God does not have a specific religion. God is an omnipresent force within, without. Religion is a way of life that allows you to follow a righteous pathway. There is truth in every religion. I really agree.
Yeah, I do too.
I completely agree. And I think that's why Luke brought up like the fact that people see me as impressionable is because I'm in an active truth of seeking.
And I think that that's a big thing that you've done, bro. And I'll commend you for it. Is people are seeing in real time you going through this journey of figuring shit out.
And I've learned a lot from the both of you.
Because your worldview's shifted a lot, even within same.
Well, when I met you in Puerto Rico, I was smoking a cigarette. You know, like I was thinking about that. Wasn't that long ago. And I got in your car and you were like, "You smoking a brokey cigarette?" Like you said something. Like you looked. I could feel your energy. You're like, "This guy's a bot. What an NPC smoking a brokey." I was smoking a Parliament, and then since then I've learned a lot from the both of you. But it's good, and I want to share that with my audience that you can. There's a lot to learn, and if you put your ego aside, you can learn from a lot of different walks of life. Thanks for the 10 Toxic Butcher. I can't stand living in the Midwest. This summer, I'm packing a few things and I'm moving to the Greyhound. I'm taking the Greyhound to Colorado. I don't even care if I have to live in a tent. What do you think about this? Question for the both of you. I am not very optimistic about the future of the West. Every day, did you see the Satanic Ritual? I guarantee you saw that at the Grammys. I
didn't watch it. I heard about it.
I didn't watch it. I just saw the clip on Twitter. But just seeing like all the LGBT pride flags in school and seeing what the West is about and the type of ideology that they're focusing on. My plan, or something that the idea I'm tossing and turning with right now is getting 5 to 10 mil and then moving to Dubai. Do you think, Justin? Like I know that you're a cowboy at heart. You love the South. Do you think it's worth staying in America? Am I being too pessimistic about it? Obviously, you're older than me.
Well, what's Dubai going to give you?
Less taxes and also a religious place, and it's away from the West, and there's people like-minded over there. People aren't going to be insane. There's not going to be another COVID pandemic probably in COVID. It's going to be a place of refuge from all that, all the Western garbage. Like the fact that they refused to allow gay pride flags at the World Cup, I think was a big gesture. The fact that they stand on their beliefs in the Middle East and we tolerate everything here. Do you think that that's a pessimistic worldview, or are you optimistic about the future of the West?
So for me, I respect everything about Dubai. I do. However, America is still the GOAT, and I want to be very, very clear as to why. Geographically, I think that we're stronger than any other country. When deglobalization happens, and I do think it's going to happen, we are self-sufficient. We have strong borders in the north and south and the east and western oceans. And we still have the biggest dick, which is the military. And until that changes, I think America is still the GOAT.
And we run the internet.
Yeah. And so, and the international economy. So everybody's watching our shit, listening to our music, watching our movies, using our currency, and we will fuck anybody up. And for that reason, America is still the GOAT.
I posted a tweet the other day, and it said, I've been to 50 plus countries, and America is the single greatest country in the world. And the reason I can say that is because you have to look at everything, right? You have to look at the fact, for example, right? You look at China. China's been around for thousands of years. As a Chinese empire, it kind of morphs and molds. The US has been around for 250 years, bro. This shit's a baby. So when you have it as the superpower, so for example, compare, I don't know, any celebrity, the highest status celebrity always gets the most criticism, right? They always get the most press. Who's out here talking about fucking El Salvador or Guatemala on the news? Like there's shit happening over there, but nobody gives a fuck. Right? Why? Because they're focused on the big dog, and everybody wants to take the big dog down. But if you go to Utah, you have an ecosystem in and of itself. You go to Colorado, you have an ecosystem in and of itself. You come to Florida, it's like the biodiversity is fucking crazy, the culture's crazy, the amount of people's crazy, the amount of land that's for sale, that's cheap and affordable.
Well, that's farmable.
And farmable.
The most powerful river in the world. The Mississippi River is by hands down the most powerful river in the world.
And there's a reason why America became so powerful, like you said. It's because geographically they're positioned for absolute fucking conquest, dude.
Yeah, you cannot fuck with it.
You have allies at the north, you have allies at the south, you have water on each side. You're literally a haven for your citizens.
What about that Chinese balloon thing? You think that was all a psyop, or the fact that
Bro,
Biden
I'm
and
not
Trump
even
were
paying
doing-
attention.
If
Bro,
America wanted to, they could fuck up Russia and China right now.
dude, this is all a game, dude.
Yeah, this is all bullshit, bro.
It's all fucking game, bro.
I read something the other day that said the United States military could be at any location in the world in 48 hours, and I absolutely believe it because we have a base everywhere. Our Navy is literally out there defending people. What if our Navy was like, you know what? Let's only take up for America, and our fighter jets and all the bases we have all over the world. Everybody else would be fucked. We'd be fine. Come fuck with America. America's still the GOAT, man. I know it's not popular and people get mad at me, man. Fuck you. Red, white, dude, America's the GOAT, bro. Suck my dick. I'm
So
American.
I see it differently, right? I don't see it from like a hella patriotic place. I see it more from like an actual like
It's just a fact.
unbiased thing.
It's just a fact,
From
bro.
an unbiased perspective,
Woo!
it's pretty true. America is fucking sick, bro.
There's a bunch of bullshit. I mean, like, don't get me wrong. There's a bunch of shit I hate. I'm going to tweet this soon. I actually wrote it down the other day. I miss the America that hated Russia because at least then we didn't hate each other.
We have a common enemy of communism, and now
Yeah.
there's communists here. That's what I'm saying. That's
Yeah.
why I'm not confident, because I was in New York. That's the reason I left. People were in the park protesting BLM, and people showed up with commie flags.
That's
Naked. Wait.
the message, bro. Like, the number of people that actually feel that way are so small, man.
It's more and more.
It is more and more because because people are stupid, man. But I'm gonna tell you, for the most part, pound for pound, America is the best country on earth, and I am certain that it's not close.
It's not even close.
It's not fucking.
But if we're
Bro, go to
changing our
fucking Europe, dude. People are leaving Europe. You go to somewhere like
They're not coming here.
You go to somewhere, bro. You go to somewhere like,
trying.
dude. You go to somewhere like Dubrovnik, Croatia, and you're like, oh, look at all the beautiful castles.
Bro, I
Look at-
love Europe.
It's fucking empty.
Yeah.
It's empty. It's all old people living in the villages, bro. People ain't living in the old. It's not optimized. It's not optimized for potential. Europe, the western side of Europe is fucked. Everybody's trying to move, right? Taxes out the ass, rules out the ass, immigration, lack of security. Like, talk about it, dude.
Look,
Asia, forget about it, dude. Want to go to China right now?
no,
China's
Want to go hang out? Want to go hang out in Shanghai?
China's fucked.
China's fucked, bro. They got a bunch of buildings and shit they built that are completely empty. They skipped a whole generation of having children.
Bro, it's a Ponzi scheme. They're on
bro,
a
it's
fucking walking
bullshit.
yeah.
Like, and what you said is very true about China. Talk about how China moves. Like, all those countries that create China, they're bullying all those areas.
All those countries.
All those. They don't even want to be. Bro.
Go to Western China.
Yeah, bro.
They don't even look Asian.
Yeah, bro.
They don't even look like a
fucking
traditional Chinese
people, bro.
person,
It's
dude.
fucking bullshit,
They-
bro.
they look like-
Go fuck with America.
Please don't.
Bro, we would fuck them up, bro. Like, dude.
I mean, have you seen our army? Like, they were allowing all these maybe it's all a psyop.
Dude, we don't even fight our own wars anymore.
Yeah, it's
Brother,
all drones.
you just hire people, bro. Hire guns, dude.
Dude, it's like if you're a big boss, are you gonna fight your own battles? Or are you gonna send your security guards?
You send
Bro,
them-
they're doing it in one country in Europe right now. They're just funding it.
Yeah.
Okay, Dougie Free says, so
We
why do
won't
you think
go into
nobody?
details, but
Why do you think nobody stands up and fights about the rainbow flag thing? Is it a side op? It's psyop, first off, and nobody fights about the rainbow flag thing because a lot of it is programming. But look, China's infecting the minds of the youth with TikTok. TikTok in China is all motivational, it's all
TikTok is the
inspirational.
psyop. TikTok, social media, that's the psyop, bro. You're talking about data privacy and data leaks. You motherfuckers out here, you don't even know how to customize your location settings. You're out here being tracked on your phone 24/7, motherfuckers. Don't worry about a balloon in the sky.
Rope for Smoke, thank you for the big 50. Big
Go,
shout out to
go.
SNEAKO for opening me up to this mindset. Pause. I wouldn't be on this path without you guys. Appreciate you, bro. And Ghost says for the 10th, Jay Waller about to get us drafted. Lol. WUS of A. Yeah, you motivated me. So you're not going anywhere. You're not afraid of the rainbow flag thing. You're not afraid of the trans people.
Bro, let me say something right now. I fucking love a gay man. Let me tell you why I like gay guys. Let's say there's 5 guys in a room and 1 hot chick, right?
Yeah.
Mostly, number one, if there's a gay guy, that means he's going to take one with him. So now it's me against 3 guys. And more than likely, these 2 guys that are gay were the best looking fuckers of the bunch. Bring them on, bro. More gay guys, the better. More chicks for me. I don't give a fuck.
But what about the kids? The fact that they have rainbow flags in schools and all these kids.
Then that's Darwinism, because they're fucking retards. If they go against their wiring...
Is it Darwinism or is it?
I want to make an extremely interesting point.
3% of American high school girls are trans.
But here's the thing. You know what's interesting about this idea of like LGBTQIA? So it's how things are kind of clustered together that to me make no sense. what does being gay or lesbian have to do? Like, what your sexual preference is? What does that have to do with your gender? Why are both of these put together as a kind of like a group? And
that's why I call
gender reassignment have to do if you're a girl and you're like a girl? It has nothing to do, but they put everything together, so now it's all convoluted, and you have certain people fighting the war of another person because, once again, they're under this idea or the symbol of like the pride flag, whereby other people are in the symbol of the US flag, and they'll go to Vietnam and they'll go get fucked, and you'll have 80,000 US soldiers die for what? The symbol. It's just a different symbol that you're sacrificing your life for.
Tony Robbins has this thing called the 6 human needs, and one of them is significance. And the reason I'm calling it Darwinism is because a lot of times the individuals that cannot compete on a normal level and be significant through achievement or who they are as a person go to these other things. Like when I was in school as a kid, they used to have what they call freaks, and it'd be kids that would like dress goth and shit like that. Though there was never the star player on the football team or the popular kid or the handsome kid. It was normally a kid that was kind of fucking weird a little bit. And I'm not saying that to be cruel, because I was certainly kind of those kids, but I think the kids today that are doing some of these things are kind of in that same group of misfits that want to feel significant somehow.
Right.
And they have no other way to achieve that. So they do something crazy like either go trans or get really strong.
You know what's interesting? You know what's interesting that nobody ever talks about is this idea of detransitioning, and how many people that are transgender actually regret it. Like how, you know,
next all of them.
I've talked to several people that have literally hit me up in the DMs that have gone through that are going through detransitioning process, being like, bro, this shit fucked my life up. I had some psychologists tell me that at the age of 17, I was this, I was that, and it was full of shit. It was a lie.
Absolutely.
And start looking at the industry, that like the testosterone, the estrogen, the hormones. That's all profit, dude.
Yeah.
That's all money.
And so is antidepressants.
All the sign up.
All money.
Archive. Shout out to SNEAKO, Jay Waller, and Luke. Socially, the USA is in dysfunction, but it will be corrected. I'm surprised that they have a much stronger sense of optimism towards the West. I see how many people are going, this would not have happened 20 years ago.
Brother, US is literally, the United States is probably one of the only beacons of freedom in the world. And I know I say that with a grain of salt, because there's a lot of freedoms that have been violated over the last couple of years in this country. But where else are you going to go? I was talking to
So you don't like Dubai? Have you been?
I have been. Yeah, I was there. No, I didn't say I don't like Dubai. I think Dubai is great. I personally wouldn't take it over America, if that makes sense. Like it wouldn't, like it doesn't compare. Once like Miami, and it's its own little, like it's an island, dude, and it's surrounded by an ocean of sand. Mm-hmm. You want that, or you want like the US? Like you can do whatever you want, dude. You go and buy now a ranch in Colorado, nobody's coming fucking with you.
Yeah. To me, that's worth paying some taxes.
Yeah. And here's the thing, bro. You got to pay the mafia, bro. You got to pay the mafia. It's the name of the game.
Yeah. And America has the biggest one in the world.
Yep.
The biggest mafia in the world?
Yeah. It's called the United States government. Gentlemen, I've got to go. It's so good to see you.
Shout out to Justin Waller.
That's it.
Your job?